All right, well, listen, we're going to do a little presentation today and try to help you guys have a little better understanding. Check, can you hear okay? On how to deal. The topic they asked us to quickly cover in this session was fine fabrics and dealing with more of the delicate fabrics that you might be working at in someone's home. Before you can determine if it's a fine fabric or not, you probably need to know a little bit more about the fabric itself and how it's made or what it's made out of. So certainly would recommend you getting a little bit more study done towards the build of the fabric. Don't be afraid to take these things open them up. Do your inspections with your customers on every different type of piece you're cleaning to determine if it is a fiber that presents itself as being really durable or a fabric that might be more sensitive or delicate or have finishes on it that might get easily damaged if you clean it in the wrong way. So there's a wide arrangement and array of fabrics and upholstery and custom pieces of art that some people have in their homes. And the first step of determining and knowing the difference between them. So in a 15-minute presentation, it's going to be hard to teach you all of the delicates, but look for things that are shiny, soft, that tend to be elegantly placed, one-of-a-kind cushions and pillows in someone's home. Something that a client says, hey, this is special. I spent a lot of money on it. Might be some indicators that this thing or this item might be something to be more careful with. And if it was more sensitive, you might change your process of how you clean. We tend to clean things either wet or stay on the dry side. You know, if it's really delicate, we'll often stay on a drier system. It doesn't necessarily mean dry cleaning. It might be a lot less water or a lot less chemistry involved or the technique of how we apply it. So the first things that we want to do after we determine, what kind of materials that we're deciding to take on, and we'll evaluate some of the sensitivities of those. I'd say the first thing to help deal with being a more sensitive, delicate upholstery fabric cleaner is having a good work area set up to present that to your customers. And it's amazing how the simplicity of having a work table when you clean upholstery and putting down a drop cloth to protect their flooring and placing maybe a couple of other sheets or other drop cloths for your drying station of where you put their delicate piece once you've serviced and handled it carefully to dry delicately as it is being treated with the other ones, and having a workflow and an area and a process presents a professionalism that is perceived by your customer that has them not wavering of what what you're going to charge. It's easier to charge when you present your services in a little more style. It's a lot easier than just throwing down a blue tarp on the ground or no tarp or cleaning the cushion on their dirty carpet or throwing the pillow up on top of the other parts of the upholstery as you're working on it. So set yourself up a good workstation. Make it comfortable. They make these tables. You can, small folding tables with legs that you can change the height on. So if you can bring your workstation up to where it's comfortable, you're not going to bend over or down on your knees, and from down to up, and getting wet fabrics on a wet cloth makes it a lot easier when you have a work surface table to work on. And the clients notice your work setup area. They really do. It's like, they're going to be careful with my stuff. When you set up a little extra drop cloth or a walk-in area or your seal-a-doors and the doors, that those service experience things that we do set us aside from the guys that don't. And it takes us a little longer to put the corner guards up or things, but a lot longer to fix that scraped-up wall that your hoses were dragging around when you're working. Set up good ventilation in your work area. Have some fans drafting through your workstation and having ventilation to move air out of your work area. Sometimes the chemistry and the processes we're doing aren't pleasant in smell while we're working on them. So getting that outside so the customer's never disturbed by it is helpful. We have a bird flying around the hall. Awesome. We're going to have some bird poop soon. Having a controlled work area. Actually, it's a great thing to talk about. There's a dove flying around the hall in here. And I recently was cleaning a delicate fabric, actually, a large cushion for a client that made more sense to clean and work on in our shop instead of in their house. So we picked up that one cushion that had damage, and we brought it back to our workshop to work on it. And you feel, this is going to be in a careful area, no problem, nothing's going to happen. 2 days after we did the cushion, it was drying in this area in my shop. A giant dove, or pigeon flew into our shop garage doors. And it was like, we get these little sparrows every night, but it was a giant bird, almost like a hawk, I thought. And it comes in there, And it actually, I look around, all right, don't poop on the cushions. I got rugs laid out, we just cleaned. There's a bird flying around in my shop. And certainly and I looked the next day and found a little tiny drop of bird poop. And the only place it hit was on that cushion. I haven't found any else in the shop because he flew right over top of it. I opened up the other big garage door and the bird flew out. But we sometimes take to do with the more delicates, take them to our shop where we can take time on them and work on them and dry them and then see how they resulted and then maybe try a different technique, because sometimes cleaning requires us to be a little more patient about the process. And if we can bring some patience by making enough money to be valued for it, it definitely helps when you raise your professionalism with a customer. So presenting yourself with a workstation and area. Sometimes presenting yourself is the way you set your marketing to attract the client to feeling comfortable with what you do. So we've come up, some very high-end marketing things with our designers and decorators where we give them little video players that talk about our services, like our fiber protector treatments that we put on the fabrics after we clean them to keep them looking delicate and nice and sensitive. So having ways to present yourself is going to be something that you'll find helpful as you raise the type of client you're dealing with. Upholstery cleaning is an option for most customers. The carpet has to be done. It's a fixed asset. It's part of the floor. They got to move out. They got to clean it. The couch, they're going to cover it with a blanket when it gets soiled. It's an afterthought. You have to think about, some people don't even know it can be serviced professionally. Are you marketing to that point so that your clients know? All right. So the other thing I wanted to do besides talking about workstations is talk about some of the tooling to dealing with delicate fabrics where maybe we don't want to have a heavy vacuum or extraction system on this that could distort the cross-stitching or the fine needle point that Grandma made into the custom pillow, this memory pillow that I have of my grandmother that sits in that special room in the house that the dog accidentally went on, and now you're being asked to clean Grandma's artwork. I wouldn't want to necessarily grab a work bag. That's a good thing to have to start with, but I wouldn't necessarily want to grab a really abrasive scrub brush to work my cleaners into this sort of material. I'm going to work to grab something softer, like a cellulose sponge, where I can use the gentleness of the sponge to apply delicate shampoos or foaming solutions onto the fabric. So different kinds of agitation tools for abrasive, clean fabrics, things that are more of a durable weave that can be scrubbed without hurting the construction, versus maybe a delicate sponge might be something to consider when you're cleaning more delicate fabrics, like custom painted with a velvet back fabric that's a natural cotton velvet material that can brown, distort, and after cleaning with techniques sometimes have lines on it or imperfections that we have to come back with our brass brushes or our carding brushes to reset those textures and those textiles to the right condition that it was when they bought it. We put lines and distorted and damaged it in that process of cleaning it. Sometimes we have to actually correct some of what the cleaning did depending on how soiled it was. There's different types of agitation tools besides sponges and scrubbing brushes. There's also bonnet mitts that are out there with both very soft surface bonnets without any abrasive. This is a soft rayon bonnet. And then they have more the durable synthetic blends where we actually have almost like AstroTurf in the middle. This is for a delicate. This is for the movie theater chairs or for these conference room chairs where you can get your cleaner in there and work it in and suspend that soil before you delicately go over it with the extraction tool or a white towel and remove that off the surface. If you encapsulated, you could wipe off that soil and those layers going down. So having some different choices of the tools that you're agitating with might be something to consider as you approach wanting to handle more delicate fabrics. I can't tell you how important white towels are when it comes to cleaning upholstery. That post-wipe after we've done our every step cleaning, that final, and you got to use a towel in a controlled fashion. We like to fold them. So you work an area of that towel with a rolling and change the pressure from the palm to the hand, your fingertips as you go across so that you draw off the fabric but not spreading across the fabric as you're working. Cotton towels, not microfiber. Cotton towels will absorb things into them more than the microfiber tends to absorb things to them and spread and smear across. So having a good clean batch that you've washed, thrown through the dryer, don't put chlorine and all sorts of chemicals on them. You want these treated, and typically, I think these are probably out of a new pack. when they're new, they still have a lot of lint on them. So run them through the dryer, or the dry cycle after washing, pulls that first batch of lint off them. You'll have a lot less linty residue to worry about grooming and brushing off in your final treatments of some of these more delicate fabrics and materials. You know, it means snapping shears. Glass. I use microfiber on glass cleaning. It helps work well on those sorts of surfaces, polishing vehicles where I have scratch sensitive surfaces I'm working on. Stainless steel, those. On upholstery, I use cotton because my goal is to remove that to it. And the microfiber removes some of the oily stuff that tends to adhere to the polyesters that there are a lot of made out of. The cotton tends to be more effective on both the water and the oil absorbency. So towels are super effective. That post-wipe that we do is so important. The napping shears like this. I mean, having a delicate surgical tool to be able to, after you cleaned this really delicate fabric and you took the time to delicately take, this is just a little light detergent, and take all that moisture out, and all I want is the delicate bubbles. I don't want alkalinity. I just want a neutral detergent, and this natural sponges, you can see, get really foamy, and you can work that foam off. If I took the time to be really delicate in my foaming process on this, to lightly get detergent there, or on this side of the velvet, to work it in, and did all that detail work and groomed out that pattern, why wouldn't I take a couple of extra seconds, and if there's a pull or a yarn that's uneven, and just trim those things, or the little yarns. It's like the little things on the carpet that you don't take the time to. Upholstery requires that kind of delicate, patient evaluation and post-treatments being done with some of these tools, to have them around to attach, or to attach that, to attach those little tiny yarns that it might have spoked, or the little threads that have come loose, that if this thing right here gets caught in your vacuum, or you got to pull from the cap, that you can maybe just trim those or delicately poke them down in so that it doesn't continue to get damaged. The customer notices those little fine steps that we do more than probably anything of our fancy truck mount or big. They don't care about what machines or they want to know that we've taken delicate service care. Throwing a lab coat on, it's goofy, but you know what? When a customer sees the mind's like, oh, something's going to happen here that's a little different than just the standard sloppy uniform guy that kind of comes in with his shirt all stained and bringing in a dirty wand and dirty tools and systems into their home that has been in who knows how many other homes before it came in. That's how they're judging when you're about to touch. They're very clean, not very dirty, spotted, some little events that they need those things taken care of. The perception of what you're giving them is a lot about your setup of your table, your drop cloths, and the tools and the little detail you have. I mean, even having like a gig bag like we do in our trucks, we get these bags that we have with all our tools in it so that we have something to organize and keep them nice between those service jobs. The guy that makes Sealador, with Ron Hunkins, the Sealador on the door, like the pop-up doorways, he makes these little upholstery bags out of seal canvas. They're pretty nice. You can also get like tack bags at the tack shops for a roping bag. Those ropes, and what the folks over at Superior Cleaning Solutions in Utah, Laura will restitch the interior of that. Doubles and then embroidered it. And think about it, I mean, that's what the customer sees is you're branding on your stuff, you're taking care of it. They want the end result for a clean cushion, but they want it to happen. They don't know it, but they will as soon as they don't realize what they've never had until you give them that service experience of taking them through dealing with those delicates. And the delicates are the ones they're worried, I can't do that, I was worried about it, and I knew it was dry clean only is all they thought. What does dry clean only mean? Did that mean I use a dry solvent? Maybe what the dry cleaner would use, if we can get them and they're even available in your market to even offer that. You have a special machine like this one that is capable of working with dry solvents or wet cleaning solutions. So you got to have special equipment to deal with that. Ventilate sensitive environment. You got to ventilate, probably run a charcoal filter inside the environment and ventilate it outside, wearing gloves, protective things on your body to protect you from those solvent interactions, or things you have to consider. Did they mean that when they said dry? Did they know what dry cleaning meant? For me, dry cleaning means a lot drier than spraying water and sucking. It might just be a light encapsulating acidic foam that I lightly apply with a sponge, and then lightly take a very carefully manipulated towel to remove the light residue that foam has taken off the fabric. Final grooming, let it crystallize, and then give it a final vacuuming to finish the piece. I never had to bring the moisture out because I stayed low moisture with good chemistry that crystallized, that didn't cause browning. That might be one approach to stay dry cleaning. Dry compound. It's not just for the floor. We can use dry absorbent compound on delicates where we can lightly work it into the fabric surface or put it into a bag and shake it up like a pork chop. And then put it out and let it dry evenly over the surface of it, and then vacuum it off. And then you're done. You've done a low moisture cleaning service without having to involve things that would damage. And these products, most of these compounds that you find, they're neutral pH. They've got a little detergency in them that crystallizes. They've got a little solvency that breaks down the oil side of the soiling, often on fabrics from sweats and body oils and fatty acids and food spills and popcorn grease that gets on them. But hopefully your clients, as part of the relationship management that you're working with them, your clients are trained that the things that are delicate can't handle the same sort of abuse that the things that are in the family room can. They have to be taught to control who goes into that room, what kind of activities happen. No food in that room. Don't go lotion up your hands and sit down and with anything that sort of thing. They control. Some of them have plastic coverings on that furniture until church day when the pastor's coming over to have, and that's the church only room. Or, come in here, I want to talk to you about my daughter room. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what you're not allowed, and they've got a gun up on the mantle, little, signs, initials of different people on the gun for all the old boyfriends. That room, the special room where nobody ever goes until you're needing to discuss. The delicate rooms like that will need more delicate care, and then their care to take care of. One of the other things that I kind of, as we finish the fabric, we've done all of our cleaning steps and all the things that we're going to offer for the customer. We've got it corrected. We made it better than it was. We've lightened the soils that were there on the fabric. They're like, wow, you really did a great service for me. Don't forget to offer them protecting their fabrics. Adding on the delicates, you have delicate fabric protectant treatments, solvent spray, lighter mists of water treatments, and there's at least one supplier here that sells very high-grade protectant that you might want to offer to your client. For us, we charge $30 a lineal foot for applying protectant. For this protector that we use, $30 a foot. For the high-grade specialty fabric, I spent $8,000 on that one chair kind of fabric piece. And we offer to protect that so that they can then dry vacuum it and take care of it on the dry side of service without ever having to get it stained or soiled. So don't forget to offer on these fine delicates the ability to keep them clean by putting better protectants on them. Where water-based protectant might brown or discolor this or cause damage, there's some solvent options to consider from most of the supply houses that avail them, have them around for them. But essentially, that's what I wanted to go through, is the basic kind of hint of fabric identification, understanding the delicates are usually going to be more sensitive. This one, what are some of the things you see on this fabric that would lend to make you think it was a problem material? What do you think that's painted with? That's not like a screened on image. This is hand-painted oil. It's a piece of art. There was a signature from the artist, and there were two other pieces, like on the wall art that they had painted of the same oil material that has been hand-painted over top of a velvet canvas. Would I have to be more sensitive of dealing with that surface than this surface? Yeah. A little bit of citrus gel. Well, now you've removed the painting. There's no removal. Now you've removed that intentional spot on the fabric. Are we sensitive to bringing water on this? Is water going to hurt it? Is it going to hurt the material? I encourage you to pre-test before you start going crazy. Use Q-tips. Go in on the edge. Just try your product. You don't have to foam and get the whole thing done. Treat a small surface area and then work into the whole piece once you've proven the effects of certain things that are done. If you got 20 cushions to clean and you're not sure how it's going to result until they're all dry, clean one or one side of one with the best system that you've defined as being the safest for it. Figure out the technique that you're going to prescribe for the rest of it, and then do it once you see the final dry results. But don't be afraid to pre-test as you go through and wait and do things patiently. Delicates, bring them to your service shop, your garage, whatever it might be. Get them out of the house. So you're not dealing with the customer over top of you on them. Charge a transport fee, wrap them carefully, get a van big enough to move. Just take the really dirty cushions that really needed in shop work and clean the frame of the piece in the customer's house where it isn't as heavily soiled, but those cushions took a beating. Change your angle. It doesn't always have to be hit it with my truck mount while I'm at the job kind of services. In general, the fine fabric stuff is not that kind of clean. It's not run your truck mount and go grab it. There's some tools, the HydroMaster DryMaster tool, the shearing tools that KleenRite makes. These things are designed to keep moisture low on the impact so you're not going to get over wetting on these systems to control that moisture impact. Look at those options and those tools and the machines that are available to do it with. I was trained to clean all upholstery with a portable. My uncles, I used the truck mount, I got in trouble because it didn't give me the same results. I mean, I only have to push the water 15 or 10 feet from that portable that recirculates the hot water, keeps my hot water consistently at the same strike temperature throughout my cleaning bath. I can control the water temperature I'm cleaning with consistently pillow to pillow a lot easier with a low moisture recirculating portable than I can with a truck mount 200 feet away that the water temperature changes every time I put the tool down, the line cools, and then the next time I turn it on again, my next cushion, I got to get the water hot to my tool head before it's actually there. There's a big advantage to having small systems where I don't need high pressure for even the durable fabrics. I need low controlled moisture and remove it from the surface that I'm cleaning. I'm not looking to blast into the foam. I'm looking to shear soils off the top. So portables give you that control right there in the areas that you're working at. So you want to be delicate, set up a delicate station, a delicate environment for the client, having more delicate tools. Even the steps of putting gloves on. I don't want to often I just don't want to touch what's on their couch. I wear gloves. I'm going to wear booties. We're going to have, protective things on our body now, like masks and things around. And you're touching that chemistry that's going to absorb into your body, and those things over time can affect you. If you can't tell, it's made me a little strange. Anyway, thanks for your time. Hopefully that gives you a little insight on a few things to think about on fine fabrics. Come join us in one of our ISCRC classes. Seek out professionals that are interested in this this subsurface thing of upholstery. See, upholstery is a big topic. There's a fine fabric type of customer, and there's a durable family room, theater, and convention kind of fabric. Which ones do you want to clean? If you want to clean the delicates, raise your price, take your time, and learn more about it first before you start approaching it. But thanks again. You guys have a good day.